Welcome back, everybody. Very excited about our next guest. Myan Patel is an outstanding sports announcer who I had the good fortune of working with for the first time about a month ago on PGA Tour Radio in Bermuda, of all places. It was a lot of fun, and Myan is on PGA Tour Live, PGA Tour Radio, the SEC Network. You're going to hear more of this guy as we get going here in 2025 and beyond. But first things first, Myan, welcome into the show. Glad you're with us. Great to see you again.
Yeah, Doug, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you for showing me the ropes in Bermuda. That was a blast last month. I can't believe that was work, walking alongside that crystal clear blue water alongside the ocean. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot from yourself and the rest of the crew, and really lucky to be able to walk some wonderful fairways around the country, around the world. Looking forward to this year and beyond.
And Myan, now we have the very tough gig of working Hawaii, the first two tournaments. That job in Maui at the Plantation Course when all the big names are there, Scotty Scheffler, Xander, all the guys. It's a tough gig, Myan. Somehow we're going to have to get through it.
Somebody has to do it, Doug. I guess we will have to roll up our sleeves and enjoy that ocean breeze. But I can't wait. It'll be my first time going out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing the golf course in person for the first time, some of those crazy elevation changes. And then, like you said, just getting to catch up with the players for the first time into 2025. There's been a lot that's happened on the PGA Tour, a lot that's happened in the personal lives of those players. So it's always nice to get to catch up and see everyone. And everyone's always in a good mood. How can you not be when you're on Maui and it's cold everywhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is in a great mood, and you're going to have a blast. And let me ask you this, because so much is going on in professional golf, and we're going to talk about all these crazy things. The commissioner released his, what would you call it, State of the Union on video, which I found interesting, Jay Monahan. And listen, he was very optimistic, and he should be, looking ahead to 2025. But Myan, I thought it was interesting as he unveiled the plan and the PGA Tour is looking for a CEO. He will remain as commissioner. He'll be on the policy board. That's never happened before, which I found very interesting. But now looking for a CEO to generate more opportunities for the tour. What'd you make of that? I just thought it was a fascinating unveiling by the commissioner.
Yeah, I did too, Doug. I thought it was really interesting. Wasn't expecting that announcement. It was at the very tail end of the video. He went through his year in review, congratulated Scotty Scheffler on being a three-time player of the year, winning the Jack Nicklaus Award again. I talked about the new PGA Tour studios and all the exciting things that are happening. And at the end, it was kind of a, hey, and we're also bringing on a new CEO, which my eyes and ears perked up a little bit. I'm very interested to see, one, how long that search takes, how far into the process they are, if it's just sort of starting. I saw where Arthur Blank and some of the other members of the SSG that have invested in the PGA Tour and PGA Tour Enterprises will be heavily involved in sort of leading this search committee, as will Tiger Woods and Adam Scott representing the players. But Doug, I think all indications point towards someone from corporate America or sports business being in this role, and someone that has had some experience spearheading professional sports before. So it's really exciting. I have no idea what it will look like and when it will happen, but I think it's exciting to see that progress is being made, and it feels like from a fan perspective, it means that hopefully some exciting changes are coming to the PGA Tour, and maybe we'll see even grander events and see the game of golf at the highest stage take another step up.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's just, a year ago, it was a completely different narrative, and now it's terribly exciting. And listen, we saw that on display. We thoroughly enjoyed the Crypto.com showdown. We're going to see more of that, I do believe, in the future. Live versus the PGA Tour. I think that's what everybody wants to see. When you have Scotty and Rory and Bryson and Koepka. I mean, if you're a golf fan like you are and like I am and like millions of others, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Agreed. That's what everyone wants to see, right? The best players competing against each other head-to-head more often. And I don't think at the start of 2024, Doug, you and I would have predicted players playing against each other for cryptocurrency. I mean, of all things. That was really cool to see. And it's fun to see those players in a little bit of a more relaxed environment. And one of those things, actually, Commissioner Monahan touched on in his video was the newly established Creator Council. We saw a little bit of the tour leaning into that with the Creator Classic back at the Tour Championship and that special event. And now there's this special council with some of the great creators and influencers in the golf sphere, just trying to bridge that gap to some younger fans a little bit more. And maybe it is some of those events like the Showdown or things that are in a similar environment where we get to see the players on a more personal level and not just when they're locked in competing at the highest level, even though that is a lot of fun too. There's nothing like seeing two guys duel on the back nine on Sunday to try and win some of the ultimate prizes in the sport.
Yeah, they're trying to change the demographic, which I think is brilliant. Obviously, sport caters to an older clientele, trying to go younger. And the fact that now charity obviously benefited from this made-for-TV event, but you mentioned it, the winners, everybody benefited, but you get cryptocurrency upwards of $10 million or more. I mean, that's, when I first saw that, Myan, I was astounded, but then I said, you know what, that's kind of where we're going, right?
It feels like it. It certainly does feel like it. It seems like, it doesn't seem like the purses have just continued to go up and up and up this season and last season, and no reason to think that they may not increase some more or that there'll just be more opportunities. I think it'll be interesting to see another season of the signature events and how that plays out. And, there were so many compelling lines throughout the FedEx Cup Fall. Those were some of the most impactful swings of 2024 coming down the stretch, guys playing for their livelihood, guys trying to get to some of those West Coast signature events, and then, of course, just wrapping up Q School over this past weekend, players trying to get their way to the PGA Tour. And so, I think this atmosphere will lend itself to some great stories. We're still going to see those superstars, but I still love that we get to see the journeyman pro work their way up and try and live out their dream at the highest stage. And if they play well and can achieve some of these metrics that have been set, it's career changing, it's life changing with 18 to 24 months of good play.
Yeah, and we worked in Bermuda, as I mentioned. Rafa Campos, a gentleman he had exhausted all avenues. He had nowhere to play in 2025, and he captures lightning in a bottle, just inexplicably plays out of his mind all week, but especially Saturday and Sunday to secure the win, secure his future now for a couple of years. Lanto Griffin, his college teammate, was one of those guys who went through Q School. It's fascinating, and I hope we don't ever lose these storybook endings because, listen, it's great to have the superstars, as we mentioned, but, man, the Rafa Campos story, those things never get old.
I'm right there with you, Doug. How good was that week? Had the birth of his first child on Monday, not even a full 7 days later. He's a champion in Bermuda. I love listening to your interviews with him over the weekend. And that was the first time I'd ever really been around Rafa, just kind of sitting there listening and walking in that same group. An emotional guy. It didn't take long at the end for him to kind of reflect, and you saw all of that weight that was on him trying to not only retain his job and try and play at the highest level, but then becoming a father and just that exhaustion of all of it and how cool it was for him to finally achieve that. And with Lanto Griffin, I agree as well. I love those stories because, Doug, there's no sport like golf where you can be working an everyday job and have the opportunity through Q School or some of these other avenues to try and live out your dream as a pro. It's not easy by any means. We all know that. No one is saying that, but these avenues, I hope that they still exist and those opportunities are still there because you can't just leave your desk job and go try and play for a spot in an NFL roster or anything like that. But if Q School's around and you get through all the proper stages and you catch the heater of a lifetime with play, who knows where you may end up. And we've seen some of those stories play out in the past, and I hope we get the opportunity to still see those in the future.
Now, Myan, let me ask you this, because coming up January 7th, we'll be in Hawaii. Tiger and Rory's new thing, the TGL League, is going to debut on Golf Channel. It's at the SoFi Center, which, by the way, I once took a class at Palm Beach Junior College. And this is the campus where they built this extravagant studio, the largest indoor facility. They're going to have actual real grass in there. I saw Lucas Glover recently in there practicing some shots. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. listen, you're younger than I am, and they're going after your demo. Are you excited about this made-for-TV event? I mean, listen, I'm getting my clubs regripped at the PGA Tour Superstore, and they're selling all the merchandise, mine. The Jupiter Links hats, the Boston Commons, Rory's team, the Atlanta Drive, JT's team. I mean, how's this going to play out?
I'm very excited and interested to see what it all looks like. I'll be honest, Doug, I did not think the screen was going to be as big as it is inside that SoFi Center. It is massive. I was thinking, okay, a big simulator, maybe movie theater size screen. It's like 10 movie theater screens all put into one. They've made these cool, really interesting holes where it's risk reward. We'll see some guys try and fly a drive 330 onto a fairway that's only 20, 25 yards wide and then play a wacky shot into the green. I like that the grass is still there and that they've got kind of that tilting green for shorter shots and pitch and chips around the green. I'm very interested to see what the product will look like on TV. I think it'll get better as the season goes on. It's such a short window in the grand scheme of things. By the time we get to the Players' Championship in mid-March, TGL's first season will really be wrapping up, and that's the stretch run of then the PGA Tour season. So I think the next couple of years will really determine what it looks like in terms of how long it can stay and last. But I've been listening, I love, like yourself, listening to local sports talk radio in the car, and I'm driving around, and I'm hearing TGL ads in my local home market of Knoxville, Tennessee. And the final line to the ad is, keep up, it's golf. So I think with the shot clock and some of the other added elements, they want to tap into some of what we've gotten used to seeing in a little bit of that YouTube content creation where you're able to see golf really, really, really fast without all the in-between time between shots. And these are some of the best players in the world, and they're going to be mic'd up the entire time. So I hope that they really lean into it and we get to hear their banter back and forth and some of the decision-making. I'm really excited because I hope that we get to see the players that are the best in the world at what they do try and get really creative, cut loose, and have a little fun. And now all I'm trying to decide, Doug, is which team is closest to me. I think you mentioned the Atlanta Drive. That's geographically the closest, but it's weird how some of these players have lined up. Hideki Matsuyama is now an adopted resident of Boston or maybe Golden State out in California, whichever team he may be on out there. But it'll be cool. I think it'll be fun for the fans to have something early in the week to get them excited for the tournament that week and maybe find new favorite players to watch throughout the year.
Yeah, it's the Bay Golf Club, which is Ludwig Oberg. Yeah. He's the captain. The New York Golf Club, Xander's team. The LA Golf Club, Colin Morikawa. The Atlanta Drive, JT. Boston Commons, Rory. And the Jupiter Links, Tiger. And listen, here's the deal, right? Tiger turns 49 at the end of the month. We want to see him play more. He's not going to play more. Obviously, limitations because of surgeries, etc. But I want to watch because of him, right? I mean, and listen, we're going to see him play with Charlie and the father-son, riding a golf cart. He's probably going to play in the Masters. I don't know. The fact that he's still playing in this environment, that's going to make me tune in, right?
Yeah, I would hope so. I think that's one thing. We can never get enough of Tiger Woods.
Right.
This is something where we get to see Tiger play a handful more times a year. Why not? I'm all for it. I think a lot of people will watch at first if they're aware of it. I think that'll be one of the big obstacles, just making sure that people outside your hardcore golf fans know that this is even happening on a Monday night, especially when it's starting up and there's still football going on for a month or so after that. That'll dominate a lot of the conversation. But then when you get to late February, early March, some of those final weeks, and there's not a whole lot of other big action happening early in the week, or even as the NFL wraps up and you're in the playoffs and Mondays are kind of empty, and Tiger Woods is going to be hitting golf balls for 2 hours, yeah, why wouldn't you watch that? And for Tiger, it's awesome. It's a short commute. It's right up the road from where he lives down there in South Florida for so many of those guys. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. And look, I can't wait to see what it's like. We'll be out there together watching, and I'm sure a lot of people will have their eyes on that first week, and it'll be fun to see and hear some of that feedback on the ground from people in the game and what they think of TGL. But I'm excited about it. I think it'll be fun, and I'm right there with you. Why not? If we can get more Tiger swings, sign me up.
Yeah. By the way, at Palm Beach Junior College, I took one class there, college algebra, and did get the A, Myan, so you'd be happy to know. Yeah, that was a long time ago. All right, before we sign off here, And for our listeners and our viewers, Myan lives in Knoxville, grew up there, went to school in Athens, and now he's back in Knoxville. But we can clearly say you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, right, Myan? Is
that is
obvious?
Correct.
Okay. And they're the number 2 seed in the 12-team playoff. They get the bye. Oregon is on the other side of the bracket. They're number 1. I still think it's going to be a 1 versus 2 for the national title. But nevertheless, got to get some picks here. Opening round coming up this weekend. I mean, listen, you live in Knoxville, Tennessee, in Columbus. They're getting 7.5 points here, Myan. I thought it was interesting. The only time these two powerhouses have ever met, the 1996 Citrus Bowl. That is crazy to me. And the Vols won that game 2014. What do you think about this Saturday? It's going to be cold, and the quarterback for Tennessee is a California kid. What do you think?
I'm really excited to watch the game, and I know that has been the entire talk of Knoxville since that final game of the regular season.
I bet.
Almost a month ago.
I bet.
I think that Tennessee obviously has never been in this position before. They haven't even really come close to being in the college football playoff in that 4-team iteration that we had. And so it's almost like if you're the Vols, you have nothing to lose. And I feel like they might play that way, whereas on the other side, Ohio State and Ryan Day, I mean, that was just flat out embarrassing against Michigan
Wow.
at home. The fan base is, they're stirred up a little. And I don't think Ryan Day is necessarily coaching for his job, but I think that there will be some chatter if Ohio State and their $20 million roster that is loaded with some of the best talent that people have seen, some of these great football pundits have said that they've seen, if they can't figure it out at home in the first ever home playoff game, first ever time that's happening in college football, if they can't get up for that and defend their home turf, there'll be a lot to answer for there. And actually, before I give you my pick, there's this gentleman I was listening to the radio earlier today, apparently a Tennessee fan who lives in Columbus. There's this app called Touch Tunes where you can control the music in all these different venues. All the Waffle Houses and all the local bars around Columbus, he's been playing Rocky Top. He's been buying up credits to play Rocky Top and kind of rile up the fan base. So I think Tennessee fans are poking the fire a little bit. They run the ball very well. Ohio State's defensive line has had some iffy moments this year, and Tennessee's got a really good defensive front and a couple of first-round draft picks on that side. So I think Tennessee will be able to take care of business as long as they establish the run game. Because I don't know. You mentioned Nico Iamaleava, the California kid. He hasn't been that great this season.
No.
He's had a couple of nice passes late in games, but nothing, no consistent excellence. But at the end of the day, I do think Tennessee will move on and take on Oregon. But it'll be a tight game. I can't wait to watch from the comfort of my own home, inside the heating, next to a fireplace maybe, and not freezing out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I like Tennessee, especially, I mean, if you're getting 7.5, but I think they're going to win outright. I really do. I like Texas to end Clemson's run at home, by the way. That'll be the warmest weather of all the games. Penn State, SMU. What do you think, Myan? I mean, this is an intriguing game to me. SMU, of course, they get in after the comeback in the ACC championship. They have to go to Penn State. What do you think? Penn State favored by 8.5.
Yeah, it almost feels like a game that maybe a referendum on James Franklin up there in Happy Valley, because the talk around James Franklin and the truth is that he has not won those big games. He has not won against a top 5 team when his team's been ranked. Now, I know SMU is not a top 5 team, but it is an SMU team that has played really well. I think Penn State ultimately will end up winning because they're at home, because James Franklin has played in a number of big games before, even if they haven't necessarily won. They have that experience. And just playing in front of that home crowd in 100,000 plus up there in Happy Valley, I think will bode well for the Nittany Lions. I don't know that they cover against SMU. I do think this will be a Mustangs team that has some late fight. And again, they have nothing to lose. This is an SMU team that their donors ponied up $200 million to forego the money they'd get from the ACC. So they want to be in this conversation and have no intentions of leaving anytime soon. But I think it's a bonus that they got here this quickly, and obviously that late comeback against Clemson sort of solidifying their spot. So give me Penn State in a close game.
All right, and lastly, I thought this was interesting. Notre Dame, Indiana, the battle of the great state of Indiana. Notre Dame in their last 41 games, Myan, against top 12 ranked teams, 8-33. In their last 20 against teams ranked 13 to 25, they're 19-1. So against those top teams, the Irish struggle. I mean, what do you think? Indiana, the Hoosiers, having the best season in the history of IU football. How do you see this one?
Wow, that's an incredible stat. I did not realize that it was that drastic, Doug.
I got it all right here, man. I got it all right here.
Gosh, I think Notre Dame wins at the end of the day, and what Coach Freeman has up there in South Bend, just a lot of grit and fight. And same thing, they won't want to lose at home. Those Fighting Irish fans will be out in full force cheering on their team. It might snow up there in South Bend.
It's going to be cold, yeah.
Friday night. It will be really cold. Now, Kurt Cignetti and what he's done in his first year in Indiana is incredible with 11 wins. But, I just don't know that they can keep that momentum going. Their biggest opponents this season, they have not looked as rock solid as they have, beating up against lesser opponents. I think some of those holes in their scheme and maybe just a talent gap will be exposed on Friday. But I wouldn't be surprised if the game is tight for a little bit and then Notre Dame has a late score or two to take care of business at home and earn a date with the Bulldogs down in New Orleans.
There you go. Oh, I love it. I love it. See, good stuff from Myan Patel, who not only knows golf, knows football very, very well, and basketball, but we don't have time for that today, Myan. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us. Have a great Christmas with the family and all happy holidays. And I'm going to see you, my friend. Next time I see you will be in Maui. So that'll be exciting.
Oh, I can't wait, Doug. Thanks so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun. Always a treat to catch up. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. And aloha, my friend. I'll see you in the sunshine soon.
There you go. Go Bulldogs. Why not? Listen, I believe in them. I believe in them.
It.
See you, Myan.
Thanks, Doug.